calculate, okay?
Okay, so far we have seen the mathematics behind tensor notations. Okay.
Your next is THOD.
And
THOD means theoretical oxygen demand. So
we have defined our vectors in certain fashion. Xj is equal to summation xi ci cj. If I want to write things in rotated frame and all sorts of things. And if you want to multiplication, we can do these sort of things.
कंबशन आप किसका कर पाओगे, वाटर का करोगे या ग्लिसरीन का करोगे?
And some contraction and multiplication applications we have seen. We have also seen the force on surface through tensor algebra.
Combustion reaction is
We have taken up one quick example. And today we are going to talk about a way to define a tensor.
It is C3H8 here and 8O3 plus oxygen giving CO2 plus H2O. So we are assuming many things. First of all, it is complete combustion. Second of all, oxygen is provided in the stoichiometrical required amount. And third is combustion of only glycerin is possible. Right. So all these things.
So there is something called Kronecker delta. Okay, Kronecker delta. Let me write it first. What is Kronecker delta? So Kronecker delta is defined as delta ij. Okay, delta, and so these are the subscript I comma j. If and the value of this delta ij will be 1 if the subscript I I is equal to j, and it will be 0 if I is not equal to j. What does it mean? So delta 1 1 will be 1, delta 1 2 will be 0, delta 1 3 will be 0, delta 2 2, if subscript is same, it will be 1 again. Delta 2 1, sorry, let me write it in this way. 2 1 is equal to 0, 2 2 will be 1 again, 2 3 is equal to 0, delta 3 1 is equal to 0, delta 3 2 is equal to 0, delta 3 3 is equal to 1 again. Okay, so in short, this whole thing for in three-dimensional space,
and we have in total 600 milligram of glycerin to be combusted, right?
We can write delta as in matrix form, rather delta in matrix form. So this is in index notation, delta ij, and in matrix form we can write 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. This is how it is written. Okay, one second.
Written. Write on each example.
One second. Okay, this in matrix form I can write is a as an identity matrix.
It says that by titration it was found that a sample of water contains hardness equivalent to 500 milligrams
Okay,
per liter
let's do some
ppm of
some
CaCO2.
algebraic manipulation.
So there are
What
many kinds
what
of
else we can
hardness
do with this
available
delta?
in water. One is with related to calcium.
So
like
any
that.
vector,
And
let's
another
suppose
one is
ui I want to
related
write,
magnesium, right? So here they are talking
can
about
also be
both
written
of
as
them. So one kind of hardness is
delta
CaCO2,
ij
assuming that the water
uj.
contains temporary
How?
hardness,
Let's see.
not the permanent hardness. So temporary hardness is 60%
Let's see how.
CaHCO3 twice form and 40% Mg.
So these are the repeated index jj. Essentially there is a summation sign that is
So first of all, you have to calculate
eaten over
the
there,
molar masses of everything. So molar mass of CaCO3
and I is equal to,
that
sorry,
of CaHCO3 twice is 162.
I is equal to 1 to 3.
And the valence
So I can write
CaCO3 is 2.
delta
Ca is plus 2.
1,
Ca plus 2, CO3 is minus
sorry
2.
j,
Likewise,
j is equal
for
to 1 to 3.
CaHCO3
So 1.
twice, it is again Ca plus 2. And
So okay,
HCO3 twice
so
is
first
minus
let
2.
me write ui. Ui means,
HCO3
let's suppose I am writing
is in
u1
minus.
first. I is equal to 1,
So that the valence
first
is
component.
2 here.
So it can be written
You're
as
following me, right? I hope.
delta 1, and I is 1. I is 1, j is 1,
Molar mass of each of the
u
constituent.
1
You
plus
should know the
delta.
valency, or you should be able
Okay,
to analyze the valency.
I is equal to
And
1
after
again,
that, calculate
2
the equivalent mass
u2
involved of
and
CaCO3
delta
and CaHCO3
1
twice.
3 u3. So we can see from here, we can use this thing, this property. So if I is equal to j is equal to 1, so this would be 1 times u1 plus this goes 0, this goes to 0, so rest are 0. So I can see the component, each components can be written separately in this fashion. So u2 can again be written as 21 u1, 22 u2 and 23 u3. So again this goes to 0, this goes to 0, this is 1. So again u2 can be written as u2 alone. So you can see how there it is an alternate way we can define the tensor notations and tensor algebra. Okay, so this is another approach to write tensors and vectors of first order, second order tensors, and all sorts of things. This is another way. The chronological delta is another approach towards writing those things.
Actual concentration of CaHCO3 twice in a sample of water. So C1, that will be called
Okay,
as the
another relation I want to talk about is something called epsilon delta relation.
The equivalent mass of CaHCO3 twice.
So
and 50 is the equivalent mass of
this delta ij is one way to define, I mean this one way to define tensor algebra. There is another component, there is another object that can also help us to write alternatively the tensor notations, that is called permutation symbol.
500 multiplied by 0.6 into 81 divided by 50. That is the ratio of the equivalent masses multiplied by the actual concentration into the percentage of the concentration.
Okay, permutation symbol is defined as epsilon ijk.
Percentage of the concentration.
Okay,
Here if you see,
and this is epsilon.
of ppm of CaCO3. Again, it is said that the temporary hardness is contributed 60% by Ca.
And this epsilon ijk will be 1 if if I comma j comma k are written in cyclic order.
And 60% of this 500 is your actual concentration. Okay, so that is where this 0.6 is coming out from there.
Ak is equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3 or 2 comma 3 comma 1 2 3 1 1 2 3 2 3 1 or 3 1 2. You can see, so there is a cyclic order. So 1 2 3, so 1 2 3. So either it is written 1 2 3 or 2 3 1 or 3 2 1, right? If at all, if these three can will happen? Let me write it here. Else it is 0 if any two indices are equal. Any two indices are equal.
No, I should write balancing only as mode form, not as +2
Okay,
or -2.
so it means epsilon 1 1 2 or epsilon 2 2 3 epsilon 3 3 3 any of sort of things will be 0. Okay, this is how I am going to define my permutation symbol, and this is also helpful to understand our tensor algebra.
So neutrally the balance is 2.
Okay, what if it is
Again,
no two indices are equal, but it is written in anti-cyclic order.
15 divided by 50. That is the equivalent mass ratio multiplied by 500.
So anti-cyclic means 2 1 3. This is anti-cyclic. How? 1 2 3. So 2 3 1 would be cyclic, but 2 1 3 would be anti-cyclic. Okay, cycle means in clockwise direction. Cyclic means clockwise direction. Clockwise direction, and this is anti-clockwise direction. Okay, if it is written in anti-clockwise direction, epsilon, the permutation symbols boils down to -1. Okay, so this is how I am going to define my permutation symbol with epsilon alphabet with ijk subscripts. Okay, and this both delta, Kronecker delta, and epsilon, this both will give you insight to write alternatively your tensor. So if you don't want, you can you are free to use your normal techniques, but this is another way to write your tensor algebras. Okay, so we have something called epsilon delta relation as well. So people have find out there is a relation between delta and epsilon as well. So, and I'm not going to do the detailed proof for that, but let me write the expression. So it is stated that epsilon ijk times epsilon klm will be equal to delta il delta jm times delta jm minus delta im times delta jl. It goes quite a rigorous algebra, but we can memorize this formula, and it would be helpful while doing the tensor algebras throughout this course. So one way to understand this is, let's suppose ij is the usual notation, k is there, and k is a common index, repeated index you can say. So ij and lm are 4 indices, and fifth one is k index. So the way it is written in terms of delta is delta il, so first index of epsilon is in combination with the first index over here il, then jm, okay, jnm, iln and jnm, and then im, it will be swapped, the position are swapped, im and jl here. Okay, this is how it is written, and this is a useful expression to understand better the tensor algebra associated with the fluid mechanics course that we are going to deal with. So I want you guys to do a homework and find out why this particular expression we have come up with. You can actually do some sort of algebra. You can actually find it out, and I have already told you that what your epsilon and delta notations are. Okay, with this we can actually now write my dot products. So let's suppose I have a vector u and I want to make a dot product of u and v. We can actually write in this fashion. We have already seen this, right? How can I write this? Ui Vi. Why? Because of the repeated index I, the summation sign is hidden over here. So I is equal to 1 to 3 ui vi, and which you can write u1 v1 plus u2 v2 plus u3 v3.
Milligram per liter, right? So first of all, only 0.68 kg per 100 kg of LD.
Right.
So that is given to you. 0.68 kg per 100 kg of LD.
So this was straightforward. Now let's write the cross product.
Now why
Let's suppose you want to do u cross v. There are two vectors. You want to do u cross products. Okay. Now in this cross product, we can take help of our epsilon symbol, epsilon or permutation symbol, epsilon or permutation symbol.
So you are just converting from one unit system to another unit system by using the conversion factors. Then if you have any doubt, please let me know. Because then we are starting with concentrations. Till here, any doubts are there?
Okay, so this cross product can be, so generally how we define cross product? In matrix form or in determinant form, how we write? So we have in usual form, we have I comma j comma I j k, and you have first component of your vector u1, u2 and u3, these components of first vector, and second vector v1. So this is u1, u2, u3, v1, v2 and v3, and we do the determinant and we get the cross product in generally. This is how we do that, right? Here also, let's see, we will do the same. So but we told that we will not write ijk, instead of we will write a1, a2 and a3. Remember, we have already decided that we are going to write these unit vectors ijk as a1, a2 and a3 superscript, and this is u1, u2 and u3, v1, v2 and v3. Right? How I am going to write?
Last example. Okay. You have light.
Okay. So this is nothing but a1 times. So a1 times this times this times this minus, right? So u2 v3 minus v2 u3, right? Okay. When I take a2 as my coefficient,
milligram per liter is same as that of ppm.
So plus I will go opposite this time. Remember, you guys remember v1 u3 minus u1 v3 plus a3. So this times this u1 v2 minus
you have 0.68 kg
v1
of sulfur
u2.
100 kg of LDO. So the same thing is written here. 0.68 kg of sulfur per 100 kg of LDO. Now again, this 0.68 kg of sulfur has the density of 0.85 kg per liter. So that I have to multiply, because in the denominator I want the unit of volume, liter, or
okay. Okay, now let's seek the combination. What's happening over here?
Take this out, your overall unit becomes kg per liter.
So can we write? So this is u cross v. So just tell me, can we write in this in terms of u cross v as epsilon I j k? So basically kth component. So basically what I'm deducing here, so this is my ith component or first component, this is my jth component or second component, or this is my kth component. Okay, so when I am talking about kth component, what I will do, I'll take this epsilon symbol, epsilon I j k, and I will write u I times Vj. Let's see how. When I do this, I am essentially referring to the kth component of the cross product. So this much. How this will come? Let's see. So epsilon. So this is my third component, right? So this is my third component. So ijk is 1, 2. So this is epsilon 1, 2, 3.
Dissolved in a liquid or dissolved in a liquid. Then only this concentration ways are used for expression. Otherwise, if you have gases
Okay.
involved, you have to go for pressure
So this is my 3
or mole percent. So none of them.
and
is
ij
involved.
I. So let me write in this fashion.
Specifically for
I'm sorry.
solid and liquid,
Let me write it in this
liquidity.
fashion. Ijk will be intact and this will be 3 ui and vj.
Number of moles of solute.
Right. Now this can be written again.
Now when I'm saying moles of solute,
So these are repeated index. So there will be summation sign.
or a
Okay. And summation sign will be from I is equal to 1 to 3. And also remember where there are repeated symbols, it goes to 0. Cyclic will be positive. Okay. So only cyclic symbols will be here. So here you will get epsilon 1, 2, 3 u1 v2 minus epsilon.
The concentration of solute C
or repeated will be gone 1, 2, 3
so you have to remember all these formulas
2, 1. So this is plus 2, 1, 3. This is vu2 v1 and rest will be 0, right? Rest will be 0. So we can see that this goes to 1 and you have u1 v2 and this since this is anticyclic, so you have minus sign and u2 v1. You can see the same component you get. This is how you are going to do the things in cross product. See, this is the beauty of writing things in tensor notation. Why? With very easement you can write very long expressions and you don't have to bother about so many components. You just write things in terms of I, j, k and you are done. So that is the beauty of writing every equation in tensor notation. Okay. So you got dot products, you have cross products. Now let's talk about some gradients, divergence and curls, because these gradient, divergence and curls you are going to encounter in your fluid mechanics course very often. Not only in fluid mechanics, I mean this gradient, divergence and curl you may come across in all your solid mechanics courses as well. Not only solid, in several courses you will come across this gradients, divergence and curls. Okay. So let me first write the gradient. So anybody know what do you mean by gradient? And gradient can be I mean which quantity, on which quantity we can take gradients? Can somebody tell? And what is the meaning of this gradient? Anyone of you?
Sir, rate of increase. Rate of increase with respect to x or some other quantity.
Some other quantity. Very nice. So in scalar, it's sort of it is talking about the slope. Okay, but in scalar you can actually write dy by dx very easily, dy by dt or something. But the problem is when you have a vector field, right? Now if you have a vector field, let's suppose I have a quantity q which is a vector field which is a function of x, y, z, and this is a field, means you have, in general you have 2xi plus 3y j and 5z k. I don't know, some random scalar, some vector field is there. It means it is a sort of function, but it has also components. Okay, it's a vector field. On every point you have some vector. So every point there is a vector that is defined, and all the combination of all these vectors give you a vector field. Now this vector field has we want to know I mean which direction there is a increase of this vector, in some sense, in which direction it is being increased maximum or decreased maximum, in some sense. Okay, so that is how it's kind of analogous how you take out the slopes in the scalar field, right? So in vector field we usually take gradients. Okay, and in order to get the gradient, you are going to use a operator called nabla. This is a nabla operator. This is nabla operator is itself a vector, and this is the operator. It has no other significance such as vectors. It is an operator basically. It is going to be operated onto something, and this operator is defined as I times dou by dou x plus j times dou by dou y plus k times dou by dou z, and this is going to be operated on okay, this is to be operated either on vector or or also can be operated on scalar field. Okay, so scalar field, so in gradient you actually operate it on scalar field. Okay, and for divergence you are going to take a dot product of the vector field with this nabla operator. Okay, this is how you are going to talk about the divergence when we talk about divergence. So let me write the gradient first. So gradient is nothing but I times dou by dou x plus j times dou by dou y plus k times dou by dou z times some scalar field phi. Let's suppose phi is my scalar field, and phi is defined as phi is a function of x, y, z in some sense. Okay, and now you are going to differentiate with, so every component can be written. So essentially when I write in terms of, so the idea is to write everything in terms of tensor notation. So I'm going to write my gradient nabla times phi, and ith component I want to write, then I will tell that this is nothing but dou phi by dou xi. This is how I am going to write my tensor notation for taking a gradient of a scalar field. You guys following or any doubt?
सर ये लास्ट वाला नहीं पता चला सर.
अच्छा, ये वाला लास्ट वाला नहीं पता. Let me elaborate this thing. एक पेज ले लेते हैं. Okay, time भी हो गया, but let me do it quickly. So let me take phi as 2x 2xy. I don't know, some field was there. Let's suppose it can be pressure field, temperature field, or some scalar field. Okay, field means for every x and y you are getting some phi. Okay, phi x y is a function. Okay, now I want to take a gradient of this in two-dimensional. Let's suppose in 2D. So in two-dimensional, my nabla operator will be I times dou by dou x plus j times dou by dou y. And now I am going to operate it with phi. So what I am going to write I times dou by dou x times phi plus j times dou by dou y phi, and this will give you this nabla times phi is essentially a vector. Okay, this is a vector that points where your field is changing field has steepest slope. That's all you can tell. Okay, and this would be a vector. So basically क्या होगा, तुम्हारा एक रूम है, okay, यहाँ पर टेम्परेचर है 25 डिग्री सी, उसके बगल में 26, 27, 28. सो जैसे ही तो इसका एक फंक्शन होगा, ठीक है, लेट सपोज टेम्परेचर है x, y का फंक्शन है. अब ये x, y का जैसे ही हम ग्रेडियंट लेंगे, मीन्स नेबला लगाएंगे, डेल्टा टी करेंगे, डेल टी, सो वो मेरे को क्या देगा, i टाइम्स डॉट टी आई बाई टी एक्स, जे टाइम्स डॉट टी बाई डॉट वाई. सो बेसिकली ये एक वेक्टर देगा जो बताएगा कि इस डायरेक्शन में टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज सबसे ज़्यादा है. अग्री? सी फिजिकली कैन यू रिलेट दिस? एंड दिस इज व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट. लेट सपोज तुम्हारा फ्लूइड मैकेनिक्स में कोई फ्लो हो रहा है, यहाँ पे वेलोसिटी है 5 मीटर पर सेकेंड. चूंकि आई मीन वेलोसिटी वेक्टर फील्ड हो जाएगा तो वी शुड नॉट टॉक अबाउट इट. स्केलर फील्ड में प्रेशर ले लेते हैं, जैसे यहाँ 25 मेगा पास्कल, 26 मेगा पास्कल, 27. अब तुमको बताना है कि किधर सबसे ज़्यादा मेरा प्रेशर बढ़ रहा था, तो इसको हम कैसे देखेंगे, क्योंकि ये वेक्टर फील्ड आई मीन स्केलर फील्ड है प्रेशर. सो प्रेशर का वेक्टर फील्ड किधर मेरा सबसे ज़्यादा हो रहा है, वो एरो मेरे को जानना है, वो हम बताएगा मेरा ग्रेडियंट एक्चुअली में. ठीक है, दिस इज वाई हाउ इट इज रिटन. सो यहाँ पे हम देख लेते हैं क्या होगा. सो आई डॉट 2xy बाई डॉ एक्स प्लस जे डॉ 2xy बाई डॉ वाई. सो ये हो जाएगा आई, सो ये हो जाएगा 2y प्लस जे 2x. सो बेसिकली क्या हो गया, 2 टाइम्स xi प्लस yj. This is how, this is the vector which points where your phi increases most. Agree? And this is how it is physically related. So next time हम लोग वेक्टर फील्ड लेंगे, जैसे वेलोसिटी लेंगे, वेलोसिटी भी हो सकता है मेरा 2x y i 2z x j समथिंग समथिंग. एंड फिर इसका हम कुछ देखेंगे क्या होता है, फिर इसका हम एक्चुअली डाइवर्जेंस देखते हैं. ठीक है, इसका ग्रेडियंट भी देखते हैं बट दूसरे तरीके से देखेंगे, उसका मीनिंग अलग हो जाता है, बट इसका जनरली डाइवर्जेंस देखेंगे तो उसमें डेल डॉट वी करते हैं. तो फिजिकली आप लोगों को समझ में आया आज क्या होता है ग्रेडियंट. Okay, so any questions? Hello, any questions? So we'll leave now then. Let me take attendance.
इन्होंने कहा था कि इन्होंने इस कंपोनेंट में जो मार्क्स दिए थे